and welcome to my channel. I'm Mandy Grace, author of 10 novels so far. Welcome to week 3 of Preptober. We are still reading. So my initial plan was to read through books 1, 2, and 3 that I've already written the first drafts of in 2020 and 2021, and then having become familiar with my story and its trajectory once again, I could outline book 4. But we're on week 3, and I'm still reading, you guys, and I just thought I'd be a little farther. We're going to cram all of the book 4 stuff into the last week, and it's fine. It's not fine. I don't have the time to do that. We are 105 pages into Lance's book. I've read about 20 pages so far today. I have like 15 more, and then we're done with Lance's book. Trying to get that done today, and then we'll roll into book 3, which is... how big? Nobody knows. Let me pull it up. And then once I finish book 3, I will brainstorm who my 4th POV should be, because I literally have no idea still. Ooh, this one's bigger. This is 147 pages. It's 70,000 words. Up until 2022, when I wrote books that were over 100k, and suddenly my whole world changed. Up until 2022, I only had like one book that was big, and it was like 90. So the Dragon Story was apparently one of the biggest books I'd ever written at 70k. That's not true anymore. It's like not even in the top 10 anymore. But before last year. Oh gosh. Okay, well, I guess I have a lot of reading to do this week. Yeah. This is really strange, but I read faster on my phone. I think because I'm getting tiny little dopamine hits so that I keep going and going and going. On my computer, on my laptop, it takes forever to get to the end of a page. I mean, it doesn't. It takes the same amount of time. But, like, it takes forever to get to the end of a page. And then I get a little bit of, like, whoo, we finished a page. A little dopamine. A little bit. A little tiny dose. Whereas on my phone, it takes, like, 5 sentences to then have to scroll. And every time I have to scroll, my brain is like, we're making progress, we're making progress, we're making progress, we're making progress. So then I end up reading more. So I prefer reading it on my phone, weirdly, because then I know that I will read more on my phone versus on the computer. Because on the computer, I don't feel like I'm making progress, even though I am. Whatever. So, yes. That's not really important for you to know, but basically I'm going to be reading on my phone. It's Saturday, it's the 14th. I need to write a newsletter today because that goes out tomorrow. Crikeys. So yesterday, Friday, typically I am productive Mondays and Fridays, and then the weekends are like maybe productive, maybe resting. But yesterday, on Friday, I did nothing. I had a long week, longer than usual because I had to get up earlier because there was other responsibilities that I don't usually have. So, yeah, that was the whole thing. So on Friday, I was so exhausted. I missed my alarms. I was basically late for work. It's fine. We survived. But then I spent the rest of Friday not being productive. So that's fantastic. And then today is Saturday. I got up at 6 o'clock today. Not by choice, just because my body was like, oh yeah, this is wake up time. So I got up, and I've been doing some things. I need to go move my laundry. I've been reading. I edited and uploaded week 2 Preptober. I also published week 1 Preptober, which I thought that I had done last week, but actually I'd only uploaded it. I had never pushed publish, so I did that a week late, and then I now have the other one, which still has an hour and 45 minutes to upload according to YouTube. So that's doing its thing. But I only have a brief amount of time today because my sisters in town were celebrating my birthday early, going to the Taylor Swift movie concert thing. And then after that I'm working this evening. I'll probably be able to read this evening. It's a late night with children, but at some point they'll go to bed. And I'll probably spend the evening on my phone reading, and see how far we can get with Lance's book and the Dragon's book. That's probably it though. I don't have a lot of time. I have like 2 hours to the movie. I don't know when my sister's getting back and what we're doing. Yeah, I don't know. We probably don't have a lot of time right now. So, yeah. That's Saturday's update. I'm working on things. It's going however it's going, I guess. I don't know. Okay, I finished book 2, and I love Lance. Ladies and gentlemen, I love him, and I love his storyline, and it's just so good. So much better than Messiah's. So compelling. Sorry, I was checking to see if my sister was here. Yeah. So good. It's amazing. And this book did not end as abruptly. There's the climax, there's a big fight, and then there's a scene of sort of quiet resolution, contemplation of the future, and it ends with a, like, this is where we are, and this is where we're going. So it ends with a young knight swearing their devotion to Lance, and Lance being like, oh, what? And then it is considering his life. So this is the ending paragraphs of this book. This will mean nothing to you, but I'm gonna read it anyway. It's not great, okay, it's a first draft from several years ago. But anyway, okay, caveats aside. Tip's allegiance meant more to Lance, and was equally more troubling than all of the Pestrinians who had been swearing their loyalty to him the last few days. Tip was not Pestrinian. He was Asgore, born and raised, and he served Arturius. The idea that Lance could inspire more devotion in him than Arturius had after all these years was flattering and yet also disturbing. It was the sort of devotion that he'd seen Messiah inspire in everyone over the last year. And yet he wasn't magical. He wasn't running around taming dragons. Was he worthy of that devotion, that belief? He hoped he would be, given time. For now, he simply had to win his people's freedom. He would worry about the rest of it once Cassia and Plagueis had been dealt with once and for all. Like a resolution there. Like, not really, but like, there is. Whereas the other book, book 1, ended, like, in the middle of a scene. It just was like, and we're done. Okay. So, cool beans. Time to read book 3, which is 70,000 words long. It's fine. Not finishing that today. It's actually 2 o'clock, and the movie's at 3:30, and I live 30 minutes from town, so I probably have like half an hour before I need to be like getting ready to go do the Taylor Swift thing. I don't know if I'll film any of that for you, but I did have my sister raid my wardrobe and tell me what to wear. Oh, I should move my laundry. Dang it. Laundry. I had my sister raid my wardrobe and find me an outfit to be an era, just of the clothes that I already own. So I'm just doing red era vibes, I guess. I also don't know how much of this I'm filming for you. But, yes. We had briefly talked about doing, like, making friendship bracelets on the off chance that there are other people there who do, and then it would be weird if we didn't have something, like, trade, right? She's expecting crowds. I'm very cynical of the amount of Swifties who actually live where I live. I don't expect crowds. When we ordered the tickets, listen, we're crazy. When we ordered the tickets, there was, like, 1 or 2 other spots in the theater that had been snapped up, and that was it. It was an empty theater that I ordered tickets from. I had the pick of seats. And that was like days, week or more after Taylor had announced that this was happening, after headlines were reading that the AMC was like breaking records and pre-sale ticket things, like yada yada. But the theater was empty when I was picking seats, so I was like, well, clearly this specific theater was not part of the insane pre-ticket sales. So I don't expect crowds, but my sister says that I don't have enough faith in college students. We live in a college town, and college girls, so it's possible that, I don't know, anyway. So the point is, we talked about, this is not writing related whatsoever, but you're getting it. So we talked about possibly doing bracelets. But we didn't do anything last night. We ended up just like watching a TV show and hanging out and eating ice cream and popcorn and whatnot because, you know, it's my birthday weekend. We're celebrating. It's not my birthday weekend. My birthday is next Thursday. But this is the weekend we're celebrating because Taylor Swift movie. So anyway, yeah, my birthday's in like 5 days. So the point though is that we didn't do the bracelet last night, and the longer she's out and about at the you know, engagement she had for lunch, the less time we have to do anything now before the movie in an hour and a half. So I don't think we're actually doing the bracelet thing, which is fine. It takes a lot of effort. I don't know that I really want to do it, except that it would be awkward if I get there and everyone's doing it. We'll see. We'll see. Also, if you watched my Chicago vlog, you know how I feel about making jewelry. I was deeply motivated for that one because I love my Hedgie sisters and I really wanted to have that gift for them. But gosh, making jewelry sucks. So, I think I'm okay that I don't necessarily have to make them. Anyway, I'm just ranting now about the Taylor Swift thing. Yeah, you might hear more rants later, or maybe not, I don't know. Okay, laundry is in the dryer. And I'm back because I have something else to talk about that's not Taylor Swift. So, at the end of the last video, the Preptober week 2, I guess, I was like, I haven't had any time to look at the Instagram, my life sucks. Not exactly like that, but kind of like that. Which is no longer true, and I forgot that I don't think I've done an update on that today. So, I have been reading on type 6, and I do feel like it fits her. There's also pieces of 3 that seem to fit her as well, but that works. Whether she's a 6 or a 3, it works, because stress and growth, depending on which one she is, she goes to 6. The 3, 6s, and 9s are just like this happy little trifecta. So, every time I hear a car, I'm like, is that my sister? Anyway. 3, 6s, and 9, they just all blend together really well, in my personal 9 opinion. So, I think it works out regardless of which one she is, but reading the 6, it does make a lot of sense. Various bits of it. She's an unhealthy 6 to start with, and then gets more unhealthy as time goes on, because Messiah is my Morgana, for anyone familiar with various Arthurian legend. So, yeah, it's fantastic. And also the idea that they could be everything. So listen, one of my best friends is a 6, so this might work out really well for me. But also other people in my life, but like specifically my roommate. Let's see, reading the paragraph on Enneagram Institute about, being, let me see if I can find it. 6s are like a ping pong ball that is constantly shuttling back and forth between whatever influence is hitting the hardest in any given moment before they, you know, become healthy and find their centering. Anyway, because of this reactivity, no matter what we say about 6s, the opposite is often also as true. They are strong and weak, fearful and courageous, trusting and distrusting, defenders and provokers, sweet and sour, aggressive and passive, bullies and weaklings, on the defensive, on the offensive, thinkers, doers, group people, soloists, believers, doubters, cooperative, obstructionistic, tender, mean, generous, petty, and on and on. It is the contradictory picture that is the characteristic fingerprint of 6s, the fact that they are a bundle of opposites. I don't know why, but that made me go, yeah, okay, I can see it. But then also everything about, like, trying to build a safety, security net, right? And, like, not trusting herself. So in book 1, this isn't as true. But in books 2 and 3, Messiah doesn't trust anything that she is doing. And she's constantly trying to rely on other people. So in book 2, she doesn't trust anything she's doing. She tries to rely on Merlin, and then, people die, and then, like, she's constantly trying to find someone else who can make the decisions that she can trust, that she can be like, okay, you do the thing. You're safe. So, like, I could totally see the 6 in books 2 and 3. In book 1, it's harder for me to see the 6, but I think that she is one. I just need to make it more obvious, if that makes sense. So that's my Enneagram update. She's probably, yes, a 6. I could totally see it. But I think she does sometimes lean into the 3 situation, which would be her stress. So that makes sense, because she's unhealthy. So she would be going in the direction of disintegration. Also, side note, how do you say that? Is it like disintegration? Because when you say it all together, it sounds like disintegration. Like, we're disintegrating people. Poof. Which, I don't think that's what it's supposed to be. Anyway, yes, just following that arrow unhealthily, that would be to the 3. So, being a 3 in book 1, this makes sense. It makes sense. I think it's making sense. I think she's a 6. We're rolling with it. We'll see what happens. Which means her basic fear is being without support and guidance, which makes sense with book 2 and 3, like, so much. With book 1, it's questionable, except maybe the support, not the support, but the guidance at least, that she is following religiously is her dead grandmother's, like, this is who you should be when you grow up. And she's like, that is who I am going to be. So, you know, it's possible. The desires to have security and support, and, like, she felt that from her grandmother, even though her grandmother's dead now, so she's, like, latched onto it. I don't know. Maybe that sounds ridiculous. If book 1 is questionable, okay, I gotta work on it. But books 2 and 3, it makes a whole lot of sense if she's a 6. Like, everything falls into place with books 2 and 3. Not really book 1, but, like, some of book 1. Also, one of the things that I couldn't reconcile was that she's very protective and defensive over other magical people. And when I was originally writing the book, that wasn't really in it until halfway through, when I was like, oh, maybe she goes from being ambitious, wanting the throne for pride, and then she, like, learns her lesson and is like, no, I have to defend the innocent, kind of thing. And then once I started, like, thinking about rewrites and everything, I was like, actually, maybe that's just where she starts. It's, like, this more selfless place of, like, these people need help. But then I was like, that sounds so 8 to me. It just sounds 8. I don't know why, but it sounds 8 to me. So then I was like, I just don't know what to do with this. Like, I have to protect the magical people feeling, right? And one of the new scenes that I've written that was not in the original back in 2020, new scene that I wrote in the last month or two, whenever I was doing it, is a scene where a young magical child accidentally uses her magic in a violent way, and then there's a big fight in the street in the city, and Messiah and her brother interrupt it, and Messiah is, like, fiercely protecting this child, and Arturius is, like, calmly de-escalating the situation, and I don't know, just that, her defense and, like, taking personally everything that people say about magical people, even if they're not talking about her, like, she takes it very personally. I also have a scene where there's, like, an argument with the council, and she, like, goes after one of the other nobles. Anyways, the whole thing. So, yeah, I couldn't reconcile that to, like, whatever I was trying to do with the Enneagram. It was 4s, 3s, 6s, who knows. But in talking to Chrisanne, the Enneagram Hedgie over in Quill and Cup, I adore her, side note, in talking to her, she brought up the 6, and then she said about the magical thing, she was like, that's very tribal, that's a very 6 thing to, like, you know, come to the defense of their people. And then I was reading today, and don't ask me where it was on the Enneagram Institute, but somewhere in here they said something very similar, and I was like, okay, oh, here, it's right there, okay. They will typically fight for their beliefs more fiercely than they will fight for themselves, and they will defend their community or family, or in this case the magical people, more tenaciously than they will defend themselves. It fits. I think she's a 6, and that is in book 1. I am not craftsy, and none of this belongs to me. It's my roommate's. But I see potential here. It's fearless, red, midnights. I see potential. Okay, we're professional jewelers. So
yeah, we
are. We have possibly a Midnight's bracelet situation happening there. Midnight's
Excuse you?
That looks midnight. No,
That's Reputation.
Reputation. I was thinking Reputation in my head and I said Midnight. This is Midnight. That's Reputation. And this, which I cannot for the life of me tie together, is my Speak Now string of beads.
Okay, if I add the shimmery green bead, it will become a Reputation bracelet.
No, that is a red. Be red.
I'm trying.
Hi, hello, welcome to Sunday. So the sum of yesterday was, Taylor Swift thing was amazing. We didn't hand out any of the bracelets we had made, because, they were awkward and large and they didn't really fit on our wrists, so we put them in our purses. So then at the end, when a couple people handed us bracelets, we're just really socially very awkward, so at no point were we like, oh, we have some that we could give to you too. We were just like, oh, thank you, and left. So I ended up with two, and then my sister has two. I have one that says Speak Now, and it's purple, and then I have one that says Salt Air, which is from August, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, these are super cute. Love them. Now back to the writing things. Yeah, I finished book 2, so we have book 3 to read, and Messiah things to work on, BFF chapters to read. Oh, I need to send a chapter of Messiah to one of my critique partners. Hi. Don't mind my coat that I just threw on the floor when I got home a minute ago. What are you doing, kitten? Welcome to Monday's update. Recap of the weekend. Friday I was not at all productive whatsoever because I was dying. Saturday I was a little productive, obviously you saw, but not super productive because it was my birthday weekend, had the Taylor Swift movie, and then I worked until 1 a.m. I have not recovered from the working until 1 a.m. situation. Woo! Also, I live 30 minutes-ish from town, so it was like 2 in the morning by the time I was making it to bed that night. It was rough. And then I got up and I had church, and I teach the 2-year-old Sunday school and like things, right? And then Sunday afternoon, I laid in my bed like half sleeping, half watching Netflix, dying inside. I came downstairs when required to meal plan with my roommate, to put away groceries after she'd gone shopping. You know, like, there were things I needed to do. That was the only time I came downstairs. I was dead. And now it's Monday, and I still feel dead. Also, you might notice my nose is a tiny bit stuffy, not a lot. My throat is real scratchy. I'm pretty sure I'm about to be sick, most likely because of the staying up till 2 a.m. thing. I don't know how staying up late can make you sick, but it all started there, okay? So, I did not get the rest my body needed, and then now I'm just falling apart. But it's fine. So, today's list. I need a shower, but that's a when I get home kind of thing, because I don't do it at 5 o'clock in the morning. I need to do some kind of movement, workout, something. Need to do devotions. Sometimes I do that at 5 o'clock in the morning, but not today. I need to do my newsletter, because it was supposed to go out on Saturday, which I knew on Saturday, and on Saturday I was like, oh yeah, I gotta do this. But then I got real caught up in the Taylor Swift thing, and I did nothing else. And then other thing on today's list was doing the piano lesson with my nephew, but I already did that. So basically I have newsletter, movement, possibly devotions, except my Bible's not at this house. And then on the rest of the things that I, like to do, I've already done things on this list. I did not do this in the correct order, but it's fine. So obviously filming, prepped over week 3. And then in the writing tab, I have Messiah. I would like to work on the chapter that I'm on. 5, is it? I think it's chapter 5. I also need to send chapter 4 to my critique partner that I hadn't sent it to yet. I don't know why I forgot to send it to her, and then I kept thinking about it, but I didn't do it. And then she commented on my last YouTube video, and I was like, oh yeah! So, I sent that this morning. I need to read in book 3, which I have today. We're like 10, 15 pages into it. Not super far, because it's like 150 pages. But yes, did some reading. Need to do PT. With the Tragedy of the Traitor, I did fix the edits in the document on my computer, but I didn't upload said fixed document to Draft to Digital or Amazon or Ingram. Like, I didn't actually fix it. Like, I fixed it, but it's not fixed if people are purchasing the book. So I do still need to upload that document to the various vendors. Yes, for the Tragedy of the Traitor. Also, I realized that clip in the last video had no context whatsoever, because that wasn't the video. It must have been the video before that I mentioned that I needed to do that edit. Because in that video, it just sort of comes out of nowhere and there's no context whatsoever. I don't know what I was thinking when I edited that video. But anyway, basically, I fixed the edits last video, but now I need to actually upload them. I also have social media on here. I haven't been posting on social media. I have not been keeping up with my nano hedgies and their posts, which is something I was doing religiously in week 1. Yeah. We're on the struggle bus, but it's okay. Anyway, so there's that. Reading-wise, No Perfect Kids, which I haven't read in weeks. It's about, I've barely ever even started. And then I have 2 people to email, contact outside of writing. It's totally unrelated. Personal life. Yeah, so I have 2 emails that I have to send today. Or maybe not today, but like they have to get done. Yeah. That's the whole list. So far, I did send a chapter to my critique partner. Oh, the other thing on my list, which I have done already, was to read the other critique partner's pages that she sent me, because we might be meeting tomorrow, question mark. So anyway, I did those pages. So I sent a page to one critique partner, I read the work of the other critique partner, and I did piano with my nephew, and that's what we've done so far today. Also filming this, which I will highlight in a minute after I finish this. So, let's get to it, see what we can get done. We don't have a lot of time, it's already 11:30-ish, question mark, I am not looking at a clock. So, I only have 2 hours before we have to go to physical therapy, and then things. So there's not a lot of time left, but I could get some things done in 2 hours. I also feel like I'm gonna die, so that doesn't help. Also, my niece is sick and was throwing up yesterday, so she's here today and sick, which I don't think is going to help with my I already feel like I'm getting sick situation. And now I'm spending time with a sick child, which is, you know, my job, but like, this is going to be a hard week, I think. I'm just putting it out there. It's going to be a hard week. But we'll get through it. It'll be fine. It's all fine. Everything's fine. Hi. Okay. In terms of the 4th book, we haven't finished reading the 3rd one, mind you. But the 3rd one's the last one I have to read before I start brainstorming, plotting, whatever, for book 4. So, yeah, the gears are starting to turn up here. So, for book 4, very vague ideas I'm having for the potential main character, because each book adds a character to the story, and the character that's added is like, that book is from their POV. Not only from their POV, because everyone gets a POV, but like, they are the main character. That is their story. So book 1 is only Messiah. I've ranted about this before, so if this is not your first video, I'm sorry. But we're going to do it again. The first book is Messiah. The second book is Lance's book. So you get Messiah's POV. You still follow her adventure, which is different from his adventure, but it's really his book, and the character arc that matters is his. Like, he's the point. And then in book 3, it's the dragon. Okay, so we have Messiah's, and we have Lance's. You still get to see what those 2 characters are doing. But we also go off in this other direction with a dragon, and it's really his story that matters, okay? And then, in the 4th book, who even knows? I don't know. But I have 2 ideas. So one, I think it was my older brother, my eldest brother. I have several older brothers. The oldest one, he's ancient. Anyway, I think it was my older brother who, back in 2021, probably when I was writing book 3 and bemoaning the fact that I didn't know what to do with before. I don't know when, but sometime while I was drafting the first 3 books, or second/third. I don't think it was with the first book. Doesn't matter. Anyway, at some point, probably in 2021, he suggested having the next character be someone from Nothia, which is the kingdom that we've been fighting for 3 books. They're the quintessential bad guys, but they're not all evil. And so he was like, have a character, one of the good guys, you know, the misunderstood whatever, from that kingdom, be the next main character. And this is just sort of been floating around in my imagination, and I don't know, in my head, for basically 2 years now. But I kind of took 2022 off of any thinking about the story whatsoever, because I was really trying to get my old books rewritten and republished under the Mandi Gray's name. It was a whole thing. So, which I'm very proud of the Robin Hoods. I'm glad that I did it. There's no shame there. Just a lot of like, well, I could have done it differently / better, but we were fine. Anyway, the point of all that is, that's sort of been an idea, but I was never like attached to the idea, but it was the only idea that I had, so it's just kind of been back here for 2 years, you know. And then now that I'm getting closer to doing book 4, it cropped up again and was like, oh yeah, that was an idea. And it is written in my series Bible from whenever he suggested it. It just says like, Anothian Mage, ? Under brainstorming for book 4. So that's possible. My other idea that was cropping up today, so it's a brand new idea, was possibly having it be one of the Fae. So, there's a variety of magical creatures in my world. There's 2 different continents, kind of, from 2 separate fantasy stories that weren't the same world, and then at some point became the same world. So they are the same world in my head now, but they're 2 separate places. And in one of them, not the story that I'm writing, in one of them there are like gnomes and centaurs and who knows what all. And in this other one, there are dragons and wizards, which are just humans with magic. And that was kind of the extent of it. But I decided to blend the 2 worlds together. But the centaurs and gnomes still live on the other continent, so they're not like in Messiah's kingdom. We haven't seen any of them. But I do think that some of the dwarves who live in the mountain range sort of goes across the barrier. Not sort of. It goes across the barrier that separates these 2 worlds and why they don't really interact. So, I have been toying with the idea that maybe the dwarves spread out far enough to like maybe there's some of them in Messiah's court. I haven't written it that way so far in the first 5 chapters that I've rewritten of Messiah. We have not seen any dwarves, but I'm toying with the idea of having them there in the Silver Mountains. And then in book 3, these people are in the world. They are written into book 3 of the story. When Messiah goes deep into the forest to find the magical safe haven that's rumored to be there, what she finds is the Fae. And they are written into that story. And they also exist on the other continent from the other story, and they actually play a really big role over there in Fire story, but we don't have to talk about Fire right now. So anyway, that's Fire with a PH. Not that it matters, it doesn't matter. The point is she finds the Fae, and they are in the Dragon's book. So, they're in book 3. And I think it might be interesting because there are a couple of characters that interact with Messiah a lot and then will like go on an adventure. It might be interesting to have a POV from one of the perspectives. Here's my other thought though, as interesting as the Fae would be. All of the characters thus far that I keep adding, they don't stay together. So in book 1, it's just Messiah. She does interact with Lancelot, she interacts with the dragon. They're, you know, they have scenes together, whatever. But they're all on, like, one adventure together. And then in book 2, Messiah and Lance in the beginning of the book are in the same place doing similar stuff. But they break off in 2 different directions very quickly. I mean, not quickly if you go back and watch my video of writing book 2, because I thought it was taking forever to end the Dark Slopes adventure. It was like 20,000 words, and I was like, will it never end? So, anyway, they break off and go 2 separate ways. So for over half of the book, it's, 55,000 words? It's over half, somewhat over half, of the book. They're on 2 separate adventures. And so Lance and Messiah are not physically in the same country at all. And they have very different adventures. And so if you weren't with Lance and or Messiah, you would have no idea what was happening to that half of the characters. Right? So it works really well to have both of their POVs, okay? And then in book 3, the dragon is off in his own country doing his own thing. So all 3 of the characters are in 3 wildly different places, and once again it works really well, because if I didn't have one of those POVs, you would have no idea what was happening to these beloved characters. I'm assuming they'll be beloved to my readers. I don't know yet. They're beloved to me. But anyway, you would have no idea. So, the problem with the Fae is that they're with Messiah, which leads me, closer to the possible Nothian person, because they won't be with the other people. But also, that's just a giant blank slate. With the Fae, I have specific Fae characters. So I have an idea of what it would look like to make them one of the main characters. Whereas with this Nothian idea, it's all vague and abstract and empty, because I don't have any of them. They aren't characters. There's a handful of, 3 named characters from Nothia, and they're all bad guys, and we're trying to destroy them. I do think it would be interesting to show the not evil side of the Nothian country. I like that general idea, but right now it's like, who on earth would that be? I don't know. So, that's the current debate. Hello, my friends. Welcome to Thursday. What? We have an update on a Thursday. What is this madness? So it's my birthday, and I unexpectedly have the day off. I feel like this is the first time this has ever happened to me, having just a random day off. I don't understand what to do with myself. Anyway, I actually feel great. I sort of slept in, sort of not. My alarm still went off this morning because, well, there were some variables. I don't need to get into it, but there were, I might have still needed to work. I don't know. So I left my alarms on and I woke up to them and then checked to see if I had messages to say whether or not I could stay home. And then Kitten needed to be fed and things. So I was awake-ish around 6 in the morning. And then slept a little bit, and then I had a shower, and then I've had breakfast. I wrote my newsletter this morning. It's 11:01 a.m. now, and I am getting down to business. We've had a nice lazy morning, and now I'm feeling motivated. We're not going to overdo it, though, because we are trying not to burn out here. This past week was awful, you guys. It was so bad. So last week I was getting up extra early to do this, 5 a.m. experience dog sitting. It was mostly a disaster. I'm kind of glad that I did it for the person. She deserved, a little help, and I'm glad I was there. But, also, my body was like, please stop waking up in the mornings. And then, this past weekend, I had a childcare gig after the Taylor Swift movie. I had a childcare gig that I did not get home from until 2 in the morning. And then my body was like, seriously, you have to stop. So, yeah, last week I was getting progressively worse and worse and worse. And then after the weekend, which was slightly restful and then slightly terrible because of the 2 a.m. thing, on Sunday I melted. I went to church and I was feeling fine. I came back, I went to bed for a nap, and then I was just dead. I think I already told you all of this, of coming downstairs only when I had to, when my roommate wanted to meal plan and whatever, and I was just my brain is not functioning. Yeah, I was so dead on Sunday. And then on Monday, I tried to pretend that I could be productive, but I really did not get a lot done because I was still dying. And then Tuesday and Wednesday were miserable. And, I was doing my work, preschool stuff, nanny stuff, whatever, and just dying inside. And my brain was slowly fogging over into nothingness. Which was very reminiscent of being sick in high school when I had human parvo. It was just a disaster, okay? And then also, my throat is just the tiniest bit scratchy. Not terrible, but just enough that I can notice it, So that's just not fun. Anyway, so yes, last week I was slowly dying, and then this week I was like screeching towards dying. It was gonna be the end. I was gonna hit burnout. And then unexpectedly, did not have to work today. So I feel great now. I feel like I've been saved. So I had a day, I have today. I have no expectations. I have no obligations. I was able to sleep in, and now I can just do whatever I want with the rest of my day, and I feel so good, you guys. I feel so good. Literally all I needed was a day off. I have no time anymore. And it's not that I don't have time. If you've seen, like the schedule I made, was it last prepped over video or the one before that, where I literally blocked out the time and what I'm doing. There's definitely empty space on that calendar, but not enough for me. People tend to run on, different amount of energy and need different amounts of rest, and like people are different. I don't know where that cut off, but what I was saying was that schedule that I am currently on is completely overwhelming for me. Doesn't mean it would be for you, but it is for me, and I am dying. There's too much going on. I never have any time to breathe, and it's too much, you guys. I'm doing too much right now. Don't really know how to fix that specifically, because I can't not do the things, like I am committed to the preschool job for the school year. I'm not going to stop the nanny situation. I love my kids and I want to be doing that. Yeah. And that's basically it, because I haven't been doing the author side of things, so like that's not on my plate. What is being an author? Anyway, I'm not going to keep ranting about the time, but basically I am looking forward to next summer, and more distantly, looking forward to setting up the book coaching business so that I can make enough money to not have any other jobs and only do the author thing, which would include the book coaching, the writing my own books, yeah, all the things, but like, that's it. Because then I could be at home, and I could set my own hours, and the how, and the when, and the where, and the why. And the why wouldn't be specifically monetary. Which is why I got the preschool job. I mean, I love kids. I do. And I love this preschool, and it's at my church, and it's like a whole thing. Like, there's a lot of good things here. But also, I specifically got a job because I was broke. So, I don't love it. I don't love it. We don't really have to keep ranting about it. The point is, I have today, but I don't know how to make this sustainable. That was the phrase they used in my newsletter this morning. Because I thought that I'd worked out a balance of like, this is chaotic, but I can manage. And I had a month or two of like insistent grumbling. And then I came to a place of acceptance, and it was beautiful. And then a week later, I added the 5 a.m. nonsense, and then the 2 a.m. nonsense, and then I died. So essentially, I feel like I'm in a place where like, I can manage the chaos and still survive as long as I don't touch anything. Nobody breathe. Which is not how life works. So, it was a very delicate balance, and like the slightest shift just, so we're fine now though, because we had the day off, and I feel great, and I'm catching up on things, and like, life is wonderful. I'm ready for anything. So I don't know. I don't know why I'm ranting about any of this or what any of it means. But basically, we're going to be productive today, to a certain extent. I'm not going to push anything because it's a day off and I'm trying to rest because I was dying. And now we're not. So we're gonna ease through the weekend, very carefully, and then hit Monday again. Hopefully going strong. No promises. Anyway, so yes, the Eisenhower Matrix for today. Went to take a shower, done. Devotions is next on my list. I need to do movement, workout, something. And then writing my newsletter, done. So that's where we're going to start, is devotions and movement. And then, obviously filming, Preptober. And then writing Messiah. I would like to work on the next chapter in the book. I did get, comments back from, one of my critique partners that I read over this morning. But anyway, I'd like to write the next chapter. Reading book 3 so that I can brainstorm and outline book 4, in like 3 days. Physical therapy, no, that's not what PT means. Wrong brain. Switching gears, not Nanny. Author. Publish and Thrive, there it is. Oh, the tragedy edits. I did the tragedy edits. I still have not fixed the documents on Draft to Digital and KDP and whatnot. So that. Also, social media. I should be present there in some fashion. Also, I haven't been... I like to keep up with the Nano Hedgies and their posts and comment on them, which I did the first week of Preptober. And then I stopped because I was dying. So I'd like to catch up on my Nano Hedgie posts and like retroactively comment on them. And then reading wise, we still have No Perfect Kids and the book that I promised to give a review for. I feel really unreliable when I think about that book. But here we are. And then there's a couple emails that I wanted to send last week and I did not. By last week I mean Monday and it's only Thursday, but it feels like a week ago. So yes, that. So far that's the extent of my list. Okay, update, because now it's 1 o'clock. I have done the movement, the devos, the Publish and Thrive. It's really hard for my brain to switch that. I write PT and then my brain is like, that's this, and then it's like, no, it's that. And then I also send the emails that I needed to send out. Got a really hilarious response from one of them. I got an automated, like, out of the office thing, but it said, I will return to the office on August 3rd. Most likely, this person didn't update their little automated thing once they got back on August 3rd. But slightly more unlikely, they really will be gone until August 3rd of 2024, which seems bizarre. So I'm pretty sure it's the former. But, yeah, just kind of cracked me up. Oh, I have my panicked buy of stickers from Lynn when she was like, closing down the store, have to, do things smaller because I'm having a baby. Anyway, this whole thing. I think she actually has an Etsy shop now, I guess. And, like, after maternity leave, you can order some stickers via the Etsy shop. I don't know. Anyway, the point is, when I realized, she was selling out her stock, I bought several. Anything that wasn't out of stock, I bought. So there's that. So I opened those. That's not really interesting, but there you go. The things on my list still would be writing Messiah, reading book 3, updating the tragedy, social media stuff, No Perfect Kids, the book I need a review for. And then there's a couple personal life things. I have to call my bank. And I also have a tail light out in my car that's been out for a month, and I haven't dealt with because A, I have no time, and B, I don't wanna. Ugh, I don't wanna. I want someone else to deal with it for me. And this is why listen, I'm also a romantic person, but this specifically is why I would love to be in a relationship, so I could just be like, hey dude, deal with this for me so I don't have to. Ugh, anyway. Yeah, I don't know how much I'm gonna get done. I actually do have to go into the childcare experience today, turns out. So, I have like 2 hours until I need to go get kids from bus, take kids to dance, run around like the crazy person that I sometimes am. So, I don't know what I'll get done in the next 2 hours. I kind of want to, like, breathe. Also, it's 1 o'clock and I haven't had lunch, so I'm going to go downstairs and have some lunch. and then we'll see where we're at. I might just take those 2 hours, like, super easy, because I am trying to, like, you know, take a breath, calm down. We don't need to burn out over here. After this past week where I was just melting into nothingness. So, yeah. I don't know. I'll update you later, I guess. If I get things done in these 2 hours, or if I relax. I don't know. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow. Who knows? Friday's update. I did a lot of reading today in book 3. I'm on page 75, I think, so roughly halfway through the story. It's the best one, by far. The dragon and Lance's perspectives are just amazing and riveting, and I love everything that they're doing. And also reading it, I'm like remembering and reliving the, just, I don't know how much fun it was writing the dragon perspective. It was just, that was a blast. Also, I have a, co-star. What are you smelling? What? Yes, dear. Anyway, and, yeah. I think so far it's been Messiah's strongest story arc of the 3. I feel like that's because 3 books in I finally knew my characters, I knew the world, and so it was easier to dig into. So like the grandmother, the great-grandmother that raised her, Grandmother Rain, this is a whole big deal, wasn't a thing until book 3, and then I was like, oh. Because at some point I like was looking at the timeline or doing the math or something, and I realized that Messiah would have been alive at the time that Queen Rain was alive, and then I was like, huh, that probably would have had some effect on her. And then just thinking through that, I was like, you know what? Let's just make it a thing. So then we made it a thing. So now rewriting Messiah a couple years later, yeah, I'm making Queen Rain a thing from the get-go, so my critique partners are reading a version where Queen Rain is always a thing. But, yeah, she definitely wasn't until book 3, the first time I was writing the books, so, I don't know, just something about all of that. It's just a stronger story because I knew more of what I was doing versus the first one where I was just making it up. So yeah, anyway, about halfway through. I'm still torn on character moving forward. A Fae would be fun to tie it to Fire's world. A Nothian would be interesting just to see the perspective of someone living in the world that's been, like, villainized this whole time. And I also thought about Karis. She's not really a main character. She was set up to be in book 1, but then she just wasn't. But she is one of Messiah's closest friends at the beginning of the story, before the coup, before chaos. She is Arturius's love interest, and she is, so one of my things was, I think this is in this vlog, and not the previous one, but either way, one of the things I'm contemplating, one of the variables, is that each of the perspectives are on very different journeys, so they're not in the same physical space. And that was one of my things with, like, having someone who's near the dragon and fighting Nothia, like, we already have someone there, that's the dragon. But I realized, or re-remembered, or whatever, in reading book 3 today, that the dragon leaves that chaos very quickly. He's not there for much of it, and he goes off on a different adventure, and I don't know how long it takes him to come back. So I think it might actually be worthwhile and okay to have someone else there. Because, like, in book 2, I have both Messiah and Lance perspectives. They're both at the dark slopes for the first 25,000 words of the story. They're both together. They're just doing different things and viewing the events differently. And then they split and go their separate ways and have their separate stories. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it would still work. Like, if I have Karis and she's fighting, you know, with the other knights, she's part of the war, you would get another perspective of the war with Nothia, which I think would be important. Because the dragon, he's not from that kingdom. His only tie to them is Messiah. The only person he's really worried about is Messiah. Like, it's all about Messiah. And I think it'd be interesting to have someone whose stakes are Asgard. You know, like, they're from this kingdom. These are their people. I don't know. I also still kind of like the no-theme mage idea. I might end up brainstorming multiple and just see what hits, I guess. I don't know. We're getting close to the brainstorming aspect of things. I think probably this weekend I'll finish, before Sunday, before Monday maybe, I'll finish reading book 3 and then start working through the 2 Preptober workbooks and Save the Cat stuff, I don't know. And then we'll see what happens, I guess.